Hi, everybody. It's Monday. Welcome to a Monday edition of the Computer America Show. Hopefully, all of you had a wonderful weekend, did something fun. Ben and I have a terrific show planned for you. As always, in the first hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the second hour, MalwareBytes is joining us. That's right. We're going to have the head of malware intelligence, Adam Kujawa, is here. So we're going to be talking about threats and malware threats. It's going to be an interesting show. So sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of Computer America coming right at you here.
One minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And hopefully all of you had a wonderful weekend because it's Monday. And, yeah.
How was your weekend?
Actually, it was very good. We got a lot of things done, and we got things around the Crossman household that needed to be taken care of, and did everything. And it was fun. I've bonded even closer to Jasmine. Jasmine's one of our little terriers, silky terriers.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she is. she's Daddy's little girl, and we love her. And she's we had some fun around the house, and then we went out to dinner and just some relaxing stuff. And
the dog?
No, not with the dog. Fortunately, she had to stay here, but by herself. But she guarded the home. You know, she knew we were going out because your mom got dressed, and she wouldn't follow her down. She stayed in the bedroom, so she knew she was sad. But it was only for a couple hours. We got back, and then she was very excited to see us. So,
dogs are smarter than you think.
Extremely intelligent. She is very smart. She's very aware of what goes on around her, and she's very, very cute. And our little slinky terrier. We need to post some pictures of our dogs up on the Computer America website so people.
You're right. No one in the history of the internet has ever posted a picture of their pet.
Yeah.
What a novel idea.
I like it. Especially on the Computer America website. We really should put a couple of pictures up there for people to see. Well,
Right, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure pictures of animals is going to fly. I'm not sure that's something people are going to be up for.
Well, maybe we'll do a separate dog page, on the website. See the official Computer America dogs. We'll do.
We spent so long trying to take that thing down. I didn't want to put it back up.
So, anyhow, welcome into the program. If you have a comment or question, in the second hour, I told you we're going to be having MalwareBytes here. We're going to be joining us. MalwareBytes, anti-malware software. We're going to have the company's head of the malware intelligence, Adam Kujawa, is going to be joining us. Kujawa, and he's going to be talking about the latest malware things that you should be aware of and what MalwareBytes can do for you to help protect your computer. If you have a comment or a question for anything we're talking about on today's show, we'd love to hear from you. Really, we would. Call us at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. If you don't want to call us, you're radio shy, whatever the reason, every page at computeramerica.com in the upper right-hand corner, it says submit a question. Just click on that. It'll take you to our question submission page. And then you can type in your question for me or Ben or our guest and hit the submit button, and we'll see it instantly, and we'll act accordingly. The other thing that you can do is you can watch our show. Yes, we are a radio talk show, but we also stream our live video for you to see. Just go to computeramerica.com. Again, on any page, just click Show Lounge, and it will start our video up immediately that you can watch. And you can sometimes see our guests. I believe you'll be able to see MalwareBytes in the second hour.
I believe so.
Yes, but also you can see myself. You can see Ben, and Ben, of course, has the wonderful technology available to him and to you, so you can see websites, movies, videos, anything we're talking about. He can display that on video, so it just makes for a more enriched Computer America listening experience. So we invite you to do that. Again, call us at 347-884-8881. Where you can also, there are other places too. You can go to our archives page and you can see other locations that carry the show. We're on Blog Talk Radio Network. We're on the IRN Radio Network. We're on the TuneIn Radio Network. You can get archives at Apple's iTunes. We have archives now on SoundCloud. And we also have archives available on Stitcher. 2 new sites that carry the archives of the Computer America show. So anything else you want to mention before we get started with today's news, Ben?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, well then let's do some computer news. All right. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Slimwareutilities.com. Go there, check it out, download everything. Keep them, stand by. They're wonderful. They're there was a crowdsource. I mean, for technical support, anything you need, everything. They check out their slim drivers. They're all their Slimware utilities that they have there. You're going to be very glad that you did, and you'll thank us for it. Slimwareutilities.com.
All right, so as per usual, I guess I'll start with the first story. And there are a lot of good stories today, and there are a lot of great product stories as well. I guess the holiday season is fast approaching. It's already more than halfway through October. I know, scary, crazy, and not just because it's Halloween. So with the holiday buying season coming up, and you're wondering what to get yourself, what to get others, blah blah blah. The tech companies want to make it easy for you. They want to make sure that there's plenty of things for you to waste your money on that they will happily provide you. And one of my favorite, now Xiaomi, whatever, Chinese company that's really revolutionized the way that we look at smartphones. They are the ones who offer all the relatively cheap Android phones.
Mm-hmm.
They run off Android, but I mean, you get these things. They're like $300, $200, $100. Really, really cheap compared to something like an iPhone. And they're big, like they're bigger than an iPhone. They have pretty nice quality screens and everything. Like they're comparable to iPhones, but they cost a fraction of what, say, again, an iPhone costs or one of the more expensive Android phones. Mm-hmm. So they tend to come into a market and they shake it up. Well, they're planning on doing that in 2 more areas. And here, I'll throw the article up for you if you are watching us on our video portion. But yeah, it's Xiaomi's new 60-inch 4K television.
Wow.
Is upgradable in under $800.
Wait. That's not a misprint. That's not under $8,000. That's under $800 for a 60-inch 4K TV.
60-inch 4K TV, $800. It's a really good price. I mean, like if you're talking about 60 inch and 60 inch is still it's not wow you're one of the three people that owns the 60 inch television. Like they're not that rare, but the 4K television that really hasn't made it into everyone's home right now.
No.
People are more than happy to go out and buy the 1080p televisions because for the price they're still good and they're relatively cheap. 4K has just not been cost efficient and by any means. So here we have Xiaomi $800 60, and again, this is a smart television too. This is not just a simply 60-inch 4K television. It has smart technology, so it's a connect to the internet. You can buy applications for it. You can stream things to it.
Yeah.
It's a really, really nice TV.
Yeah.
So so let's get to the article. Xiaomi's, and by the way, this is from CNET. Yeah. So and this is from their Asia department. So Xiaomi's new product is an effort to shake up the smart TV industry in the same way it has the smartphone market, like I was saying earlier. The Chinese company, which has made its name selling quality phones at reasonable prices with oodles of online hype, wants to change how low a high-quality TV can cost. CEO Lei Jun said at a Beijing event Monday.
Today.
So,
Today. Yeah.
Yeah, today. So, today for us, but I guess it's already Tuesday in Japan and China.
Yeah, exactly.
So yesterday for them, today for us. Yeah, so the goal is to bring out a large screen TV with ultra high definition 4K resolution for 5,000 won, or about $785, or about 1,075 Australian dollars, and about 510 pounds. That's the currency, not the weight. So the average price of 4K is often more than double that in China. So they've cut the price in half right off the top.
Yeah.
So while the price alone is noteworthy, the 60-inch MI TV also has an innovative approach to upgrades. So most smart TVs come with the speakers and electronics built into the frame, but the new MI TV has its motherboard and processor fitted into a detachable speaker. That's different.
It is.
So this means that the TV ports are found on the separate speaker instead of the display.
Okay.
The device, the device's screen then connects to the speakers through a single cord that combines the signal and power lines. The detachable speaker means that you can one day upgrade your MI TV smart capabilities without having to buy a whole new television. So in a similar manner to Samsung's Evolution Kit, you can also purchase the detachable speaker as a standalone device to attach to an existing TV for about $150. That means that you can turn any TV you want into what do you call it?
Smart TV.
Into a smart TV. So, that's awesome because it seems like a lot of the smarts are just housed in the speaker itself.
Yeah.
Which is very, very cool. So Xiaomi is of course, one of China's hottest tech companies. In the second quarter, it beat Apple and Huawei to become the country's top smartphone vendor. And the third quarter, it ranked fourth in the world for smartphone shipments. So these guys aren't small. Like this isn't, some random small company looking for its, 15 minutes of fame. This is a really, really big company who has a history of doing exactly this, shaking up the market. So the new MI TV is the first 60-inch display for the company and its third smart TV. So over the last 3 years, it's worked with suppliers to lower the manufacturing cost, and the display comes from LG and is fitted in a metal frame, and which is a mere 36.7 millimeters at its thickest. So very, very thin.
Extremely.
Right. So now Xiaomi's phone TV's range aren't yet available in the US, Europe, or Australia, though many of its other products, such as the Mi Band and the Mi headphones, are. In September, the company said it will be bringing out a line of laptops, though it hasn't said when.
Okay.
So TV not necessarily available to the US markets yet, US, Australian, or European. But hey, if they're willing to have these prices in China, then it probably won't take too long for the competition to, really go after these other markets with relatively similar priced televisions, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not going to be available here for a while. Certainly not for the holidays. So you might have to look unless you're planning to go to China. Chances are you're not going to be able to get it here for a while. But
Right.
it's nice to know that it's on its way, and I'm sure the current manufacturers will come out with competing products as prices come down, and they always do. They always do.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, this next story from Maximum PC, Kevin Parrish. Microsoft is not forcing Windows 10 upgrades. Really? Okay. Well, a report released this past Thursday actually caused quite a stink, stating that many Windows 7 and Windows 8.1 customers were forced into upgrading to Windows 10, whether they wanted to or not. So until now, we've only seen the new operating system served up as an optional upgrade. So the report was shocking to many. However, what's going on is an error on Microsoft's part that the company says will be rectified immediately. Here's a quote. They say, as part of our efforts to bring Windows 10 to existing genuine Windows 7 and Windows 8.1 customers, the Windows 10 upgrade may appear as an optional update in the Windows Update control panel. That's the WU control. This is an intuitive and trusted place people can go to find recommended and optional updates to Windows. In the recent Windows update, this option was checked as default. This was a mistake, and we are removing the check. Okay. So basically, they're not going to force people to do it because it was sort of grayed out. It was checked, and you couldn't uncheck it. Now, in the meantime, consumers who are faced with a forced setup of Windows 10 can manually back out during the installation process. Consumers are also urged to take a look at the update option to make sure that the automatic installation isn't turned on by default. Now, news of the forced install follows reports surfacing last month that Microsoft was downloading the Windows 10 installer to PCs despite what the consumer wants and despite the amount of available hard drive space. Okay, Windows 10 was found downloaded in the BT folder, eating up between 3 and 6 gigs of space.
Yeah, that happened earlier where even people who had no intention of upgrading or didn't even know about Windows 10 or really just didn't care whatsoever, Windows was surreptitiously in the background putting Windows 10 on all Windows compatible computers without everyone's knowledge. And for people who are kind of hard drive conscious, they're these 3.5 to 6 gigs all of a sudden just get taken up. And so if you ever wanted to switch, it would all be ready to be installed, like it was all preloaded onto your computer. People were not happy with that at all. No,
not at all. But evidently they've heard the objections, and Microsoft is not going to force people to do it. So that's basically it. If you don't want to update, you don't have to. Although we kind of recommend that you do. I mean, I have Windows 10. You have Windows 10. It's a terrific operating system. There's really no reason not to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's they did a good job with Windows 10. There are, of course, privacy concerns which obviously they're fixing every day.
Uh-huh.
People are calling them on it, and luckily they're actually listening to their user base. They're saying that, oh, I don't like this. This is on by default. This, and this, and they do come out and they address everyone's concerns by saying, well, you can turn this off. Here's how to do it. You can do this. You can do this. It's by default it's set up like this, but it doesn't mean that it has to be. So it's nice to see them come out and say, it is what it is. So Windows 10, good stuff. And yeah, they actually have the numbers down here showing the different percentages of who's using what.
Good.
Like which version of Windows. And it's surprising to see that so many people are sticking with Windows 7.
Yeah. Windows 7 is a good operating system if you're comfortable with it.
Oh, it was very solid.
Yeah, very solid. I mean, so you're not being forced to upgrade. But again, our recommendation is to go ahead and do it. I think you'll be very happy with Windows 10.
Right. Okay, so Windows 10. There you go. How about this one? This one is a little futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
Futuristic, as in you think we wouldn't be having this problem, but it turns out we do have this problem. So this from Popular Science, and this is from their health section. Claire Maldarelli, there we go. And yeah, from PopSci, could having your DNA tested land you in court? So yeah, police are scanning private DNA databases to solve murders. And this is, again, something I really didn't think was a problem until now. So, we've all seen CSI. They have... Now, what you see on CSI, the episodes, is very, very different about what really happens in real life with, crime scene investigation. But they always find a hair, a toenail, whatever you want to call it. They find something with a piece of DNA, and then they compare it to a giant database full of other people that, people who really have no criminal record all of a sudden show up in their database. It's like, oh, look, we have John Smith here, and he lives at 333 Deerbrook Lane. It's like, how is his DNA in there?
Mm-hmm.
But, in real life, they don't have that. But they do have places where you can actually send in your DNA, and most of it do like cheek swabs and hair follicles, but yeah, you can have your DNA actually tested, sequenced, and stored just to have it. Mm-hmm. And there are private companies that do this. So, they send in the kit, send back the kit, you're good to go. Now, that's all well and good, but it turns out that law enforcement have taken to requesting access to those databases where people volunteer to go into, and then they compare them to murder investigations and other crimes. So they have a piece of DNA, they don't know who it's to, they have their own database with, people who are already convicted, who have already committed a crime, who have already been around the block. They have their DNA. But they said that's not enough. They want to search as many people as possible. And so they go to these private organizations that have, at this point, they're customers. They're not just volunteers, they're customers. And they're handing over the keys and saying, okay, law enforcement, you can now check your DNA samples to everyone in our database.
Yeah. And
if they pop up a match, if something happens, and DNA matching, that's a very hard thing to fight because, DNA is very, very specific.
Extremely.
Yeah, it's not easy to say, oh, no, that's not my DNA. That's someone else's DNA. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen too often.
At all. Doesn't happen at all. Doesn't happen at all, yeah.
Well, I mean, with twins, but...
No, even twins, they're different. The DNA is different. So.
Okay. Well, anyways, so... Yeah, if they compare, they find your DNA, they find it too similar, they can actually call you into court and start asking you questions. Where were you? What were you doing? What's your alibi? Prove that you weren't a part of this murder that we are currently investigating. All because you wanted your DNA sequenced.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy. So the FBI, again, already has a national genetic database, and though this is for first time they employed a private genetic database to narrow down their search. So, and by the way, they used 23andMe and Ancestry. They use both of their private.
Well, yes, this is the thing. You people get their DNA, because they're interested in their heritage, or they're just kind of curious, or they want pictures, of their DNA.
Well, Ancestry is about the heritage, but 23andMe is about genetic markers for cancer, brain disease, things like that.
But the point is that they're making this available to law enforcement agencies,
right.
and there's an issue of privacy, but I guess this again has to be worked out in the courts. It's going to have to be resolved, and I guess there'll be some test cases when they find a murderer and they got his DNA sample, and they'll well, how did you get it? Well, we went to 23andMe, or we went to Ancestry, and we got it from there. Is it going to hold up in court? I think it probably will, because
Oh yeah, for sure. I haven't read their end user license agreement for actually using one of these services.
Yeah.
But like personally, these people, they're customers. They're people who paid you money to provide a service, and they really don't want their information getting out. Like they want the information that only they can provide. But I don't think they would really agree to having their information shared with, government or law enforcement officials and things like that. I mean, this is really their private information. How would you feel if, enter random company A and they all of a sudden share your address, your phone number, your credit card information, and all of your private data? I mean, we've talked about this many times on the show. Many companies are, trying everything they can to keep their customers safe. And it seems like, for these companies, they just kind of handed it over. I'm sure with some coaxing, they didn't just offer it up, but they just handed over, really some of the most private information one company can have.
Yeah. Again, an issue that is just going to have to be worked out in the courts. But it does posit a dilemma. But again,
Careful who you give your DNA to, I guess.
That's basically it. Be careful whom you give it to. All right, this next story is from CNET. This is kind of interesting. For those of you who have Skype, did you know now that if you want to invite friends to chat on Skype, but they aren't using Skype, well, guess what? Now you can. This again, according to an article from Nicole Cosma on CNET. He says, not all of your friends or coworkers use the same communications tool. They do, however, all have web browsers, right? That's true. Skype's announcement from yesterday, this was on Thursday, acknowledges this by offering up its solution to get everyone into the same chat. And that solution is allow anyone to join the conversation with a unique link to Skype for web. There it is. And here's how you do it. Okay. Now, by the way, all this feature is still rolling out for all users. This might not be available yet to you, but eventually. Basically, with your Skype for Windows or Mac or the web, you click on the plus new button. Okay.
Which means add new person.
Right. Add a new person. A window pane will appear that contains a URL that you can copy and share with friends or colleagues who are not on Skype. Now, before you do this, you may want to adjust a few other settings. Basically, you want to rename your conversation. This will let people know that they are in the correct chat when they open the link. Also, you need to decide if you want chat history to be available for participants. Okay, and you have to, if you do, you have to enable that in the settings. And desktop users can also adjust notification settings. And finally, you can share the link with your friends or coworkers. It will open the Skype web interface where a username of the recipient's choice must be provided to join the chat. Text chat will be available immediately, but using audio or video may require the Skype browser plugins to be installed. All right. Now, Skype isn't the first service to offer this feature, but still, it's a useful addition. And now, friends and family who don't want to sign up or install Skype can join the rest of your group for a chat. Why wouldn't they want to? I mean,
because Skype, we recently, or not recently, in the past, we've talked about a website. I want to say it was called Too Long Didn't Read, TRDR something.
Yeah, I remember
where it went over all the privacy concerns with every major website that you use. And it gave them a ranking, A, B, C, D, F. And Skype got an F, to put it bluntly, because they take your personal information, they take all this information that really a lot of people don't want to give, and not only do they make it semi-transparent to see, like if you have someone's Skype name, you can actually go to websites and do reverse Skype lookups, and you can actually find their personal information, including their address. Not very good, but they also don't ever, ever, ever let you delete a Skype account. Like if you have a Skype account and you said, hey, too many weird people, I don't want to be on here anymore. I don't use this anymore, blah, blah. It's literally impossible to delete a Skype account.
Have you tried?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for giggles, but it's well known. Like I've tried, but the only way to do it is to jump through hoops at their customer service. Like there's not a single link, button, website, page, whatever, to go and actually delete it. The best you can really do is to go into your settings, change all of your personal information around, so it's generic, blank, John Doe email at whatever email, and just, make it not yours, and then just forget about it. That's really the best way to delete it.
That's the first I really heard about it, because most everything else you have an option to delete.
Oh, yeah.
You can go eat that. Sometimes they'll make you look for it, buried down there, but it's there. But just not to have it at all. That's very strange.
Yeah, that's Skype.
That's Skype. All right. Okay. Well, there it is. You can now invite anyone to chat on Skype with the link.
Yeah, chat. Keyword there is, of course, chat as in, like AIM and things like that. It's all instant messaging, which is nice. You get to share pictures, you get to do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to actually talk on Skype or video call on Skype, download the app, which again, some people don't like, but I think this is really cool because it's, it's not too crazy to expect instant messaging over a browser. I mean, that seems like something HTML5 should easily be able to do.
Uh-huh.
But to be able to roll it in with Skype, because as much as I just gave Skype a hard time, I use the service every day. I really do like the service.
Yeah.
So
we're using it right now. We use it on the show. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it really is a very nice service. Some privacy concerns aside, very nice service, and it's nice to see that even if you don't have, like let's say you're on someone else's computer and you don't want to download Skype on their computer, you can just open up one of these and there you go, you're off to the races.
All right.
Very convenient.
All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We've got lots more coming up, including a plea to Valve to mod the Steam controller. Apple, of course, in the news again. We've got these stories and more. A brand new news test poll to review from Marty Winston coming up as well. Stay tuned for more Computer America.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Relax, it's not that kind of a raid.
Hi, I'm Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the LSI Mega RAID SAS 9361 8i RAID controller card. It's a PCIe version 3 8X card that can connect as many as 8 SAS drives at up to 12 gig per second. 6 of our 8 are connected in a RAID 6 array, meaning 4 times the capacity of any one drive and 2 redundant drives. If 1 or 2 drives fails, the whole thing just keeps going and can rebuild. A 7th drive in the array is a hot spare and can come in if one actually is unusable. The 8th drive is an SSD, and LSI Cachecade software turns that into a front-end cache to speed up the entire array. Bottom line, the LSI Mega Raid SAS 9361 8i controller gives us our biggest, fastest, and safest storage all off the shelf. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. So glad you could join us as we're doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, of course, and brought to you by Ben and Craig. So yeah, we're by the way, that was a brand new Marty Winston. I definitely know it for this time because I've never heard that particular opening, so I know for sure. Although that was a very nice sounding raid. I mean, that many drives, that many redundancies, it sounds like exactly what you want in storage. That's very, very nice. So here we are. We're doing computer technology news. And this next story is actually about esports. Yes, we talk about it very, very rarely, but it's one of my favorite topics. And when something like this happens, you got to bring as much attention to it as you possibly can. So this is not a highlight of esports. This is simply something that happened, and so therefore we must cover it.
I was surprised when I saw this.
Yeah, so 9 people have been arrested for fixing StarCraft matches. Again, that was not banned, punished, fined, whatever. That was arrested. 9 people have been arrested for fixing these StarCraft matches. So, getting this from Motherboard, but it's been all over the internet. The South Korean esports scene has been rocked by a StarCraft 2 match fixing scandal that involves professional players, organized crime, and a journalist. The Korean Esports Association, the organization that regulates esports in South Korea. So 9 people have been arrested so far, with the top being Park Oi-shik and Park Oi-shik, a former StarCraft Brood War player and current coach for Team Prime, and Prime Terran player Choi Byung-hun.
Koreans evidently take their esports seriously. I mean, I don't see this happening in the United States. But I know Korea is really, really...
Korea has a much better history with esports. Well, better as in longer. They, ever since StarCraft Brood War, that became a real phenomenon over there. Over here, sure, it had a nice competitive scene, and a lot of people played it. It was very popular. It was, a very, very well-received game. Over in South Korea, it really turned into a sport. They would put it on television, and the masses would sit down and watch it just like they would a soccer game, football game, whatever you want to call it. It really became a sport in its own right. And we're starting to see that a little bit. League of Legends is starting to get some coverage on ESPN 3. BBC 3, I think, is doing the World Championships of League of Legends right now. Esports are starting to come into their own over here, but in South Korea, it's been a thing for 15, 20 years. So they really do take it seriously. And again, this organization that got in trouble is actually run by the government. It's their government's, tourism, commerce, and something or other. But, it's an actual government run entity. So for this to be caught up in match fixing. So StarCraft players would go in, they would make bets, all that kind of thing, like it was normal sport, because betting on esports is a pretty common thing over there. But they had illegal betting online, so they would, these websites pop up left, right, and center, and whenever you take one down, 3 more pop up. But they would make illegal bets, and then behind the scenes, they would have people who would pay a ton of money, who would then go through a broker, who would then reach out to the players, and then the players would then throw matches. So to the untrained eye, it looked all normal. They actually have footage of the games that they threw, and to someone who isn't well versed in StarCraft or who isn't really at that high level of play, it would just look like two people playing, and eventually one loses. But people who are very, very dedicated to StarCraft 2, they know for a fact that, hey, he shouldn't have put this unit here, he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that, and all these little things add up to what was eventually discovered to be people throwing games for anywhere between $5,000 and $17,000 a match.
Oh, wow. Well, we're used to this here in the U.S. when we hear about boxing prize fixing of
Right.
Or even football or baseball, the major league sports. I mean, this type of thing in the United States is a big no-no. You're going to get arrested. You're going to go to jail, and we certainly. But it's foreign to hear this same level of a conviction for video games. But let's face it, the amount of money, it's all about the money, and the amount of money involved in video games today is right up there, can rivals professional sports events that we have, baseball and football. And
right. Yeah. No, it's when I say it's established, I mean, again, it's been around for 20 years. This is not something new we're beginning. And what's worse is that KESPA, which is Korea's Esports Players Association, they were actually in a scandal back in 2010. Mm-hmm. They had a huge match. They had a huge match fixing scandal back in 2010 over StarCraft as well, and they almost collapsed in on themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, people really didn't treat it seriously anymore. They didn't take it as a legitimate sport because there was so much match fixing going on. You couldn't really tell who was playing well, who was the best, because there was so much hidden money behind it all.
It's
that it didn't have integrity anymore.
Where it's accepted that was wrestling, because that it's when you watch wrestling, it's all fixed, when they say, and it's all.
Are you talking about like Olympic wrestling or like WWE?
No. Yeah, the with wrestlers like what's some of the names like, and you would always it's fixed, and they're not really doing it, and they kind of know in the end, and that sort of like went with the territory, but in other, and I don't know if it's cleaned up or if it's still the same thing.
WWE is very, very clearly entertainment. It's not, no one's ever going to say, oh, look, these guys, like, don't get me wrong, they're very athletic. It takes a lot of skill, and, and what they do is very, very entertaining. But I don't think anyone goes in saying, I wonder if they staged some of this behind the scenes. Like, exactly. Yeah, they obviously did, but it's still very, very entertaining. Yeah. No, this is a legitimate sport. And I won't say legitimate because it was until this match fixing thing. Again, there was a scandal back in 2010, the exact same problem. People lost confidence, and they almost lost their whole StarCraft scene. They almost banned all the players, and no one really cared anymore because you didn't know who was winning, and if they won, you didn't know if it was because they paid to win or if they legitimately won. So what happened was they established an anti-corruption education program for all coaches and players. And in 2014, it started a program that rewards people for reporting such activities. And yeah, so this isn't something that has only happened once. This is their second or third time.
Yeah, they're clamping down. They're clamping down, and they want to make sure that it's legitimate. And given the amount of money that's involved, I would certainly think that fixing these matches should be illegal.
Right? Yeah. For anyone out there who's wondering, well, why would they throw matches? Why would they do this? When you're getting paid $17,000 a match.
Yeah. No,
you're really thinking, maybe I should throw this for real.
Yeah, it's big money. There's no question about it, and I'm sure we'll see this happen here in the United States soon because.
Not soon. It's actually already happened earlier this year. There was a Counter-Strike Global Offensive player who was involved in a match-fixing scandal. He had private backers, and for the right amount of money, they would make large bets against him, and they would pay him money under the table, and then he would throw the matches, which then led, but then he got found out, and fortunately, I guess for him, Valve was the only one to take action against it. So he could no longer compete in any Valve-sponsored sports. Mm-hmm. He could go elsewhere. He could do this. He could, he'd go get a job anywhere else.
He wasn't arrested, though. That's the thing. It was not.
That's the thing. Yeah. These Korean players, though, the coach, and by the way, what makes this different than any other situation out there is that the coach of the Korean team, he was an active coach. Like, he was still doing what he was doing Everyone else who had been guilty of this back in 2010 were all retired players.
Right.
This was an active coach, so this was something very, very different. But yeah, with the Counter-Strike, he only got banned from future events. But with these Koreans, they have a ban. They're banned for life for esports, and then on top of that, they're going to court. Like they have a really big possibility of facing jail time.
It's not only civil, it's criminal. They've made it a criminal offense rather than just a civil.
And again, it may seem weird to all of you, but this is a video game. I'm not going to say just a video game because it's serious business over there.
Yeah.
But yes, this is over video games.
Yes, exactly. And well, video games are becoming serious business, and that's the world that we live in. So video games are now becoming serious business, and along with the serious business comes responsibilities of being legitimate, and people who are trying to cheat at it should be punished accordingly.
Yeah, it's really hard for something like this because the esports scene as a global thing is really just starting to come into its own. Like the fan base is growing, the people are getting more interested. But when you have people who are fixing it and cheating the system and just doing all this, it really, turns people off because you don't know, how much of this is a legitimate sport and how much is, well, there's a lot of hidden money flying around. Why bother?
No.
It's not what esports need right now. So it's good to see Korea really, really going after these guys.
Taking the lead. All right. Well, and we'll stay on top of that as well. Another area of where people are getting legal action is with Amazon. According to the story from Ars Technica, Amazon is suing almost over 1,100 reviewers. And what are they doing? Well, they're selling phony reviews. You ever go to Amazon and you'll see, I love this product.
That.
Yeah, and you use that to help make a determination whether you're going to buy something.
They're so obvious too because their reviewers they always do like 5-star reviews, and then they have like a 2-sentence review, and then there's usually like 50 of them, like all in a row. Like they're fake, and you want to warn someone, but it sounds like Amazon's already on it.
Yeah, they're clamping down. Even if these people sell the reviews for $5, sorry. I mean, the Amazon lawyers evidently have their number because in April, Amazon sued several web quote-unquote entrepreneurs whom it accused of offering fake reviews for sale. Now, Amazon took a major new step in its legal fight to cleanse itself of bogus reviews, suing 1,114 John Doe reviewers who sold the reviewers on the website Fiverr. Now, the complaint filed this past Friday in King County Superior Court shows that Amazon's lawyers are willing to go after anyone making money from writing reviews or phony reviews that way, no matter how small that business may be. In earlier lawsuits, Amazon targeted businesses that were selling packages of dozens or even hundreds of fake reviews. Fiverr is a site where people offer to do small jobs for $5 or more, hence the site's name. You know who put us onto that? Not Charles Tyndall, but Greg, before Charles.
Yeah, the gentleman who put us in contact with Charles Tyndall.
Yeah, exactly. Fiverr. He introduces that, and it's phony stuff. Now, judging by the nature of the accused Fiverr ads, these miniature internal scams are about as small time as they come. Unfortunately, a very small minority of sellers and manufacturers tried to gain unfair competitive advantage for their products, writes the Amazon lawyers. One such method is creating false, misleading, and inauthentic customer reviews. While small in number, these reviews can significantly undermine the trust that consumers place in Amazon, which in turn tarnishes Amazon's brand. And that's what it's all about. It's about trust. That's exactly what this is about. When you go on, you read a review of a product, you assume this is a legitimate person who either liked it or loved it or hated it. And you can base your decision to purchase this item based on that. And I've done that a number of times. The complaint accuses the reviewers of breach of contract for violating Amazon's conditions of life, as well as violating the Washington State Consumer Protection Act. Amazon lawyers say the state law violations entitle them to collect treble damages and attorney's fees. Now, Fiverr itself is not named as a defendant. The lawsuit points out that Fiverr's terms of service prohibited any gig that violates a third party's terms. Okay. So they're obviously protected. Attached to the complaint are the 1,114 accused Fiverr usernames in alphabetical order. At least some of those users were engaged in conversations with Amazon investigators, learning more about their business practices. Amazon wrote to a user named Best98 asking about her process for reviews. She wrote back, "Dear sir, please write a review and then I will post it." The lawsuit also recounts an ad by Fiverr selling Verified Boss, who guaranteed that she can place reviews from 100 different Amazon accounts. Okay, so and so basically, this is it. Amazon is bringing this action to protect its customers from this misconduct by stopping defendants and uprooting the ecosystem in which they participate.
Amazon did make a nice step in the right direction when they had verified purchaser. And those and they definitely weigh those much more heavily than they do just a random person going on the page and hitting 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. If you have purchased a product and you give it 3 stars, your review is going to be one of the first ones to show up. It's they're really making an effort to stop things like this on their own, but it's also nice to see that they're going for the person.
Well, they can rank the reviews by the number of stars, so you can you go from best to worst, or from worst to the best, or something. And but they're, as you say, they're making efforts to remove this and people doing things like this. So basically, that's it. At this point, Amazon is obviously out to make sure that the reviews and that people are doing are in fact legitimate, which I think. Really, I applaud it. And you really need to do that. You have to get these fake reviews and face things off of there.
You know who could learn a lesson from this?
Oh,
Yelp.
Yelp. Oh, they have funny reviews too.
They not only do they do funny reviews, but they also supposedly, again, this is all allegedly. You can't really prove it, in their private business, and they don't make money off reviews, so you really can't ask them to take it down. But supposedly, they also block 5-star reviews and highlight 1-star reviews for certain businesses, and then call them up and say, hey, we can help you out. If you pay us X amount of money, we'll fix your rating on our website. Or at least this was the rumor going around that they were doing. And it went to court. The court said they technically don't make any money on the reviews, so there's nothing to sue for here. But ever since then, I think Yelp and their reviews and just the whole customer experience when using Yelp, I really don't think people take their reviews seriously anymore. And Amazon, say what you want about them, they're a big company, and they do it by protecting their brand. And one of the best ways that you can really point to is saying, oh, look, they're keeping all of their reviews legitimate. They're making sure that anything you purchase, anything you look up on Amazon, it's going to have a legitimate review and not just one that's been jacked up by purchase reviews and things like that.
I've left legitimate reviews on Yelp, a number of them, and I mean, if I like something, I'll tell you, I like it or I don't. And I've done it too. I don't do it that often, but even on Yelp, if I'm going to go to a restaurant or something, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see what people are saying, and you can usually tell, though. Really, at least on Yelp, because it's not usually a 2-line thing and saying, "Oh, this is great, best."
Yeah, but how great would it be to not have to use your, to be suspicious and that kind of thing? You can just trust that everything on there was written by a person who had actually experienced, their food, their service, or whatever. Yeah. Like on Amazon, where you can be sure that every review that you read is going to be done by someone who purchased something, ordered something, received something from that supplier.
Yeah, well, true. Amazon, you can't. But on Yelp, it's usually self-evident. If you're looking at a restaurant review, you're going to tell by the review if somebody was there or not, and you can usually tell. With Amazon, that's not necessarily the case. Anyway, look. Bottom line is that the Amazon's doing something about it, and I'm sure we'll get more reliable reviews as time passes on. Okay.
Yeah, we have time for another story or two, and for that one, I think we're gonna do. Okay, we talked a little bit about Microsoft, but I like this story too because it's about Microsoft and their willingness to help you upgrade. Now, we just talked about how they aren't forcing you to upgrade to Windows 10.
Right.
That's great. people, if you want to stick with your operating system, by all means, it's your computer. You do it. It's, we advise that you go to Windows 10. It's much more secure. It's actually pretty fast, and it's, updated. It's very nice. Go to Windows 10. But if you want to be on Windows XP, Windows 7, 8, 8.1, whatever, then that's your prerogative. But here's what I like what Microsoft is doing. They're offering you incentives to upgrade, because Microsoft really does stand to save a lot in resources if everyone is on Windows 10. If Windows 10 was the only operating system out there, then they wouldn't have to worry about supplying, security updates and things like that, resources, devoting lots and lots of time, energy, and money into old operating systems. So they really want you to upgrade to Windows 10. They're not forcing you, keep that in mind, but they're offering you nice incentives just like this one. So Microsoft says, here's $200 for your old laptop.
Ah.
So Microsoft's Trade Up program promises $200 for your working Windows system, or $300 for your MacBook.
Okay.
If it's an old MacBook, I could totally see that. So again, this is coming from Rick Broida, and been thinking about a new laptop. If you're ready to part with your old one, Microsoft will give you $200 for it, or $300 for a MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fairly straightforward offer from Microsoft's new Trade Up program. All you have to do is buy a qualifying product from the Microsoft Store, submit a claim, and then send in your old qualifying laptop. So of course the devil's in the details, or in this case, qualifying. So the new PC must be priced at $599 or above, and it must be one of the models listed on this Microsoft Store page, and they have a list there that you can go look up at Microsoft. Mm-hmm. So if you want the cheapest possible option, there's exactly one $599 system, which was an Acer Aspire R13 Signature Edition, which has some very solid specs, but only middling reviews. So a better bet would be the $699 Asus ZenBook UX305. So yeah, the review says that he owns one of these. There are also a few all-in-one systems that qualify, and all these, again, you can put towards your $200, your $200 credit. You can put that towards these systems.
Okay.
So as for the trade-in, it must be no more than 6 years old, with a screen that is at least 11.6 inches across, or horizontal, and it must be operational and undamaged. So they have terms and conditions, but I'm sure as long as there's not milk in the keyboard, and the screen turns on, I think you'll be okay. So the author couldn't find any indication of who pays to ship your old laptop, though I guess if you're submitting a claim, Microsoft might be willing to send you a shipping label. There have been other trade-in deals, of course, but typically the language reads get up to $200 for your old laptop, and up to means, of course, you can get anywhere from 40, 50, 80, up to $200. So here with Microsoft, it's just a flat $200 or $300, depending on what you have, towards your new Windows machine.
Very cool.
Very, very attractive. If you have a 5-year-old laptop and you were looking to upgrade anyways, $200. I mean, you're probably not going to get that on Craigslist. So get it towards the Microsoft product. It's credit, so of course you have to shop with them. But still, it's better than nothing, and it's what I like to see. They're offering incentives. They really, 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 really would like you to upgrade to Windows 10, but they're not forcing.
No, they're not. They're not. But it's hey, listen, every buck counts. And if Microsoft wants to chip in $200 for the purchase, that's fine by me. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yep.
All right. I don't think we have time to do any other stories at this point. But let me just say that if you haven't been to the Computer America website recently, we certainly invite you to do so. Head over to computeramerica.com and check out all of the different things, including our social media contests. Every Friday, Ben and I give away a really nice prize from Logitech. Currently, it is the MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse, and this is it's a beautiful mouse. It's about at $80. It has their dark field technology, so it'll work on glass surfaces or on your jeans. It's ambidextrous, works with left or right hand. It also has that technology where you can switch between 3 different computer systems with this mouse. There's a little button on the bottom of the mouse and allow you to actually switch between them. It also supports Bluetooth as well. Our last week's winner was Daniel Morel, who won this mouse, that at $80. Head over to ComputerAmerica.com. All you have to do is like any of our social media sites. Now, if you're on Facebook, our Facebook page, just go to our social media contest page. There's links there to all the places that we participate, including Facebook. Just like the Facebook page. You have an entry every single week from that point on. You go to our YouTube page where we archive our videos. You subscribe to that. Now that you have 2 entries every single week from now on forever. Go to the Google Plus page, or you go to the any of the pages that are there, and just subscribe or like any of them. Each one counts as yet another entry every single week. And on Friday, in the second hour of the show, we draw a winning name from those different social media contests every single week. So head over there, get your entry in, and who knows, you might win that really nice prize from Logitech. And again, it's all at ComputerAmerica.com. Everything we do is at our internet home of Computer America at ComputerAmerica.com. Check out all the different things that we have there, and we will be happy to see you there.
You know, and it's been like 3 months, and I want to change it.
You do? What do you want?
Yeah, it's too old.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll update it. I'm all for updating. All right. Coming up in this next hour, we're going to have MalwareBytes is going to be joining us here. We're going to have Adam Kujawa is going to be here. He is the head of malware intelligence for MalwareBytes. He'll be coming up in the next hour. We're going to take just a short break, and then we'll be right back. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman. Whoop, what happened? Ben?
Oh, there we go. It wasn't muted, and then I muted it, and I'm your co-host, Ben.
There you go. And welcome into the second hour of the Computer America Show here on Monday afternoon. Hopefully all of you are having a fun time. We've got, if you miss any portion of the show, the computer news, a lot of interesting stories, you can always listen to it again. We archive all of our shows at ComputerAmerica.com. Just go to our archives page. It's right there on any page at ComputerAmerica.com. And you can see all the places that you can listen to the archives. We have it on Apple's iTunes. We have it on SoundCloud now. It's on Stitcher. All the different places that carry the archives. The Blog Talk Radio Network also carries the archives of the show. And you can listen to it again. All right. So to this hour, we're going to be taking a shift, and we're going to be talking about bad things that can happen to your computer and how to prevent that from happening. MalwareBytes is here with us in this hour. If you have a comment or a question for our guest, give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Again, any page at ComputerAmerica.com. On the upper right-hand corner, it says Submit a Question. You can submit your question as well. Ben, anything else you want to mention before we get started in the second hour here?
No. Of course, check out the archive. You know, if you're just tuning in for MalwareBytes, good. You know, good for you. But of course, check out our archives. That was a good news story, and we have a couple other news stories that we didn't get to. Hopefully, we will later in the week. But yeah, no, I think I'm good to go.
Well, MalwareBytes is an MalwareBytes anti-malware removes and detects malware that even the biggest antivirus apps fail to. In fact, all of the big AV company tech support departments recommend MalwareBytes to their customers in addition to their own AV software. That's because MalwareBytes is not a replacement for antivirus technology because you need both to properly protect your PC. So just like having a seatbelt to be safe on the road isn't enough anymore, you need two different technologies, and seatbelt and the airbag, to properly defend yourself in your car. It's a perfect example. MalwareBytes anti-malware catches the zero-day polymorphic and malware in the wild that standard AV technologies were not built to handle. Now, here to explain how it all works is Adam Kujawa. He is the head of malware intelligence. Adam, welcome back into Computer America. How have you been?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
Thanks for being here with us.
Pretty good.
No problem.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you explain to our listeners, again, what MalwareBytes is all about, and then we'll get into the particulars.
Well, like you said, we recommended it as a secondary product to your antivirus. And basically what MalwareBytes Anti-Malware does, we really focus on the latest threats that users are facing right now. With that being said, things like that are being distributed through exploit kits and malvertising, the threats that users are going to see on the internet right now, rather than threats that are pretty old. So we do that in order to keep our database light, to make our scans fast, and to make sure the user is protected from the latest threats.
All right. So what would you say the top web threats affecting consumer today's is?
The biggest threats right now are drive-by exploits and malvertising. So that's basically malicious code that's embedded on web pages or through flash advertisements that launch and exploit vulnerabilities in internet-facing applications like Flash or your browser or Java, and drop malware.
All right, now you've named two things that I really don't like Java and I don't like Flash, and because I mean, they were good in their day, but with HTML5, you don't really need these technologies anymore. The HTML5, you can do anything and everything, and they are slowly fading away, but they're still hanging on there. I mean, what's your feeling about that? I mean, wouldn't you like to see everything HTML5 and get rid of all these Java and Flash?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of browsers like Firefox and Chrome are already going to only using HTML5 and dropping any sort of support for Flash.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean, the day has gone by for these technologies, and I just wish they would get retired. But right now, I mean, we still get the the updates and the Adobe updates saying, oh, there's a new version for yet another exploit that's been found.
I always have a picture in my mind of like they're over there at over there at Adobe, and they're like, they have three guys on a ship, and the ship is called Flash, and they have buckets, and it's just up to their necks in water, and they're bailing water, over the side. Like, we're fine. Here's an update. Don't worry, we're safe. And every day is just something new happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good. And one thing I wanted to ask you about the whole malvertising. It's weird to say, but is that only on sites that that we shouldn't talk about on the air? Or is that any site with some form of advertising can be compromised? What kind of advertising, or is it just malware that gets on your computer and then superimposes advertising?
No, that's adware. That's what we call adware usually. But what malvertising is that the ad network, the ad pusher, distributor, whatever you want to call it, gets compromised by malicious actors. So they go in and they usually either hide some malicious code within their ad, and it gets past any sort of sensors that the advertisers use, or the advertising company uses, or they switch out a legit ad for a malicious one. And so as far as where it's being shown, it's basically any customer that belongs to that ad network. And so far we haven't really seen any specific type of demographic that they're going after. It basically can show up anywhere.
Why don't you?
That's real quick. That's the scary part, because I actually had a friend that this happened to, where he went to a very trusted site, and it's a site that we use every day here on the show, or every day that we have news, and he used it all the time, and it's really the only place they could have came from. It's crazy to think that these these banners can contain malicious code, and hey, it's a site that you trust, that you go to, you don't mind clicking on things, you feel safe, secure, but then even the site itself doesn't even know that they're infecting all these people who just kind of like, you trust the brand, but then the advertising is corrupt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all behind the scenes. None of it is the fault of the host. unless they got some sort of review online that said that these ad networks, push things intentionally, then there's really no fault of their own. Unfortunately, they do get a lot of bad press for when attacks do happen.
In other words, so when someone goes to a website, you're saying different people see different things on the same website because of the ads that are being served up to them?
Correct.
Okay. And it's not the website itself, it's the ads that the different people are seeing on there that are being served up that could cause the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the amount of impressions that might show up, maybe 1 in 1,000 visits to a particular website might push out a advertisement, so you might get hit by a drive-by exploit like that. And in addition to that, a lot of these bad guys are starting to put code into their advertising attacks that recognizes IP addresses they've seen before or of known research systems and stuff like that. So kind of that's already been going on a lot in the malware world as far as any malware that beacons back to talk to the attacker. But for this particular thing, it makes it so that if you see it once, you can't really replicate it again. And therefore make it really hard for researchers like myself to go out there and try to replicate it so we can figure out how to stop it.
Well, that must be a gargantuan job. I mean, Adam, to do this. I mean, how many people on your team, and how are they? I mean, we had one malware expert on not too long ago was saying that there were like 1 million different viruses being generated on a daily basis. I mean, and it was the days of writing a piece of code that identifies the footprint of this particular virus is really not plausible anymore. They can't really do that, and they can't fight it the way they used to be because it's just too much of it coming out on a daily basis. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that at MalwareBytes?
Well, I mean, that's not too far from the truth. That's pretty accurate with things like variants, malware builders, things like that. You could take a single piece of malware and customize it in a billion different ways, pushing out a new type of malware every single time. So how we deal with it usually is that rather than looking for the footprint, we look for the shadow. We look for identifying factors of the builders, identifying factors of packing mechanisms, anything like that. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, unfortunately for the bad guys, while they can go through so much effort to try and create something unique that can't be detected, they end up stumbling in, or they end up putting some sort of similarities into each piece of malware they write. So in that particular sense, you can target those similarities and then go after an entire family, an entire group of malware that's all it's all being created or distributed in the same way.
Wow. But it still has to be a huge job.
It is.
Something like
it is. Our researchers feel like they work on a kind of an assembly line type thing.
I can imagine. So I want to get to MalwareBytes, but what steps can consumers take to avoid these kind of threats?
Well, I mean, layered security really is the future, and I'm sure that you guys have talked about it here before. It's kind of a big buzzword in the security community that a lot of people don't like to talk about because it's said so often, but in reality, having multiple layers to your own protection. So in a sense, we're an alternative. We're an extra layer of protection for your antivirus. So you got antivirus, anti-malware, but we actually have additional products like MalwareBytes Anti-Exploit, which is one of our newer products. You can actually download it for free right now and use it to protect your browser and internet-facing applications, stuff like that, from things like drive-by exploits and malvertising. That's just another layer. So you've got the anti-exploit that goes after the distribution method, after the way the malware gets on the system. You got the anti-malware to stop the malware itself once it gets on the system, and then you've got the antivirus to get anything that might be left over from the past.
Well, this conjures up the old the saying is that if you have the idea that if you would have more than one antivirus program on it was not a good idea. If you had Norton and then you had McAfee and you added Avast, that's not a good thing to do. You're not supposed to have more than one antivirus program. But it sounds to me like with what you're saying is that you can do that, but why don't you expand it, because that's not what you're really saying, is it?
Well, the traditional, you can't install multiple AVs, stuff like that. probably still holds true. We at MalwareBytes, we don't call ourselves antivirus specifically for that reason. We make sure that our products work with all antiviruses. And if we ever find out that for whatever reason an AV is having troubles or detecting us as something malicious, we get a hold of them, we talk to them, we figure it out, because we're not trying to be in competition with the antiviruses. They have their job and we have ours. So in that sense, this isn't. It's not about how many AVs you can install at once. It's about choosing the right software for protection and putting in the right layers to ensure that you'll be safe.
How does someone know how to do that? I mean, let's say you have the average person along, and they may have Norton installed, they may have Avast installed. I mean, how do you?
That's your first problem.
Yeah, how do you?
They're fine. They're fine.
What's that?
Say it again.
Well, you're rambling off, Norton and all that kind of stuff. I said, well, there's your first problem. It was a joke. It failed.
So what do you recommend people do, Adam?
Well, we recommend, even using something as simple as Microsoft Security Essentials for those of you still using Windows 7. That's good enough. If you want to use Norton or Kaspersky or Symantec or anything like that, go ahead, but use our product too, or use at least the free version to run scans occasionally. In addition to that, run the extra anti-exploit protection. It's the biggest threat right now. It is seriously what people are getting hit with the most. The most dangerous malware, the most active malware is being distributed through exploit kits and malvertising attacks. So having that multiple layers. And in addition to that, how did people originally know how to use an antivirus at all? This is an education problem that we've been working on fixing, and we'll continue to work on fixing. If you think about it in a kind of a battle type of scenario, back 100 years ago, you wouldn't need, anti-personnel weapons, multiple layers of bulletproof protection and Kevlar and things like that, to fight your adversary. But now, you do. You wouldn't walk out into an open battlefield wearing nothing but a T-shirt and a goalie jersey. You would go out there with all the protection you could get. And right now, people really need to think of the internet as it is now as a war zone.
Now, you mentioned Windows. Are you strictly a Windows product, or do you have Mac product as well?
We have our Windows is our primary one, is our flagship product. We also have a mobile product for Android, and I'm not sure how much we're telling people, but we are working on something for the Mac.
Okay. All right.
I think we have it. We're working in beta right now, but we'll have something very soon.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because there are a lot of Mac people out there. So
and Macs are starting to get hit pretty hard.
Yeah, exactly. In the earlier days, it was Mac was
Mac was just too small, but Mac is starting to gain some ground.
Yeah, they are.
Exactly. And the bad guys go where the money is. And if everyone's going to the Macs, they're going to go where that money is.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about the money. All right. In the early days, you would have a virus
sending a message in the early days.
Yeah, and it would say, hey, infected, we're going to erase your hard drive. Today, malware doesn't want you to know that it's on your computer because they want to steal from you.
Exactly.
And so they're not going to be able to steal from you if you're aware of their presence. So this is where now. Do you have a list of specific websites that you should stay away from to avoid possible infection, or is it just too large? How do you?
It's too large. What we tend to report on in our blog, MalwareBytes Unpacked, is usually websites that are in the Alexa top 100 that have been seen compromised by malvertising attacks and drive-by exploits. But if we were to list out every single malicious site that we came across, whether it be the intention of the site or because of something like malvertising where it's all in the background, that list would be immense. But we have a web protection component to MalwareBytes Anti-Malware Premium, where we, as soon as we find a threat, as soon as we hear about an exploit or something being hosted on a malicious site, we block it, and we try to spread that to all our users and anyone else that we can.
Now, how do you hear about it? How does that happen?
We hunt. We do a lot of hunting. We have multiple honeypots. We have people dedicated who almost never sleep to just going around looking for malicious sites. We get feedback from our users a lot, things like that. So any source we can. There's a whole community, obviously, that isn't necessarily affiliated with a particular company or trying to sell particular products, of people that just want to protect the internet. They want to protect users. And so when we work with them and we work with other companies, and the whole goal is just to put an end to this or stop it the best we can.
So tell us a little bit about how these attacks have changed, let's say, over the last 5 years.
Well, with the exception of things like malvertising, honestly, a lot of malicious attacks have gone from more of a solely technological with very little user interaction to almost way too much user interaction or psychological type attacks. You see things like ransomware that I know that I've talked with you guys about in the past. The ransomware you saw with the FBI type ransomware would say your computer has been locked down for looking at something you weren't supposed to be looking at or downloading something, to CryptoLocker type ransomware where, all right, we've stolen your important stuff, now pay us. Phishing attacks that look almost identical to legitimate emails from companies, tech support scams that try to fool you into thinking your computer's infected. That's been a problem for a long time. It continues to be a problem and continues to grow. So the attacks, back in the day, your criminals were just computer nerds, people with some talent with computers. Now, a lot of the criminals in the real world have realized, oh, hey, this is a really good method to steal money from people or fool people or screw with people. And so at this point, they've switched over. They've hired the programmers they needed. They've hired the distribution people they needed, and say, all right, this is how we would run the scam against someone in the real world. This is what we're going to do online, but times 100.
How do they get those people? Do they put an ad in the yellow? I mean, the classified.
Craigslist, of course. We're all the
Well,
same.
I mean, in a lot of, as far as the U.S., it's always people that are just more interested, people that are kind of social outcast or just the type that hang around in forums and stuff like that. But in places like Eastern Europe, where it's hard enough to get a job to feed your family, oftentimes you'll get someone who just has some programming background or something like that, and they'll say, hey, you need a job, I could do it for you. I'm not going to ask questions, just give me money. That's it. And that's really what it goes to. I mean, these are organized criminals that are running the whole thing, but as far as recruiting the help of talented technical individuals, it's trivial.
Right. And so with what you're seeing out there where, hey, it's you said too much human interaction, where the when they're starting to phase out the technical side, I mean, I'm sure there's still technical attacks. That's great and all, but what can MalwareBytes do? What can anyone do, really, when the weakest part of your computer is the person sitting behind it?
Well, I mean, the person sitting behind the computer is the weakest part, but he's also the strongest, if you think about it. And that's what I like to tell a lot of people, is that, education, and as being someone who's been trying for the last many years to educate people, to get them interested and excited about computer security, which, I mean, you guys probably understand it's really hard to do for some folks. And but we keep trying. We keep hammering it into people's heads. Thankfully, the media has really understood how important this kind of stuff is, and even though they might want to talk a lot about, how to hack cars or drones that are going to, assassinate you in your sleep, we sneak in and get a little bit of actual, relevant and relatable information in there, and some education. So you got videos, you got TV shows, you've got blogs, webcasts, podcasts, anything we can that tries to just teach people about this kind of stuff, because you're right, they are the weakest link, but they really could secure it if they just knew what to look for. And I would like what to click on, if you should or shouldn't click on a link in a phishing email, to be a second nature as someone looking both ways when they cross the street.
Wow. So I guess what methods are cyber criminals using, now and in the future? What do you think they're going to, as technology increases, what techniques?
And why is it going to be virtual reality frying your brain?
like Snow Crash?
Yeah.
I've thought about that one. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's obvious to the cyber criminals that the psychological approach has worked. You can shock people. You can make them sad. You can make them happy. You can get them excited. It's clear that people will react to something that gives them an emotional response. So I can guarantee you that the psychological aspect will continue to be used in greater and greater amounts, combined with the advancement of technology just across the board. Things like cyber criminals using high levels of encryption, more powerful processors to create user profiles to make phishing attacks a little more believable. So, for instance, all these breaches that have been happening with all these different agencies and corporations and stuff like that, you have all that user information, all that customer information, collect it all, everything you can into a database, and get a computer to start putting things together, making links between people. And now all of a sudden, that Joe Blow has a heart disease and he has to use a pacemaker or something like that, and he lives in California. You can make a phishing attack right there, an email that just says, "Hey, here's a new pacemaker," or "We want to tell you more about your pacemaker. Open up this PDF, to find out more about it," or something like that. And without a second thought, hey, this is relatable to me. This is personal to me. I know it's legitimate because it's not some Nigerian scammer or someone trying to, sell me Viagra pills or anything like that. So
the more they can customize these attacks, so as what you're saying, therein lies the danger. I mean, I'm seeing more and more. It used to be I would get things from banks that I never either heard of or never banked with, but now I'm starting to see it appears it's coming from banks that I use or organizations that I use, and the English, the grammar is not broken up or chopped. It actually looks legitimate, and I'm seeing more and more of these. And you really have to.
But then they have a 3-mile link that you have to click on, and it's like so close.
Yeah, exactly. But in all seriousness, it looks like you have to think about it. Obviously, the same rules apply. You never want to click on a link. Okay, if it's from PayPal, and if you look closely, and when you hover over the PayPal link, it's actually it's not PAY, it's PayPal or something like that. It's something very, very close.
PayPal.com, the best place to find Pope information. I use it all the time. Lovely.
Exactly. So you have to be careful. And again, just the thing is, just go to PayPal.com, go to your regular website, and then say, if there's something, and see if there's something there that's legitimate. And chances are, it probably won't be. I know so many times that anytime they ask for your password or anything like that, that's obviously not legitimate. Although now the bad guys are starting to know that too, that people are less inclined to do that. So what do we? I mean, how good are they going to get? Is it going to be so good that you just can't tell anymore? Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I've seen attacks already that are just you can't tell unless you were to hover over a particular link and pay attention to what domain it's going to. And even there's a whole new opening these days with TDL's top domain, or TLD, I'm sorry, TLD's top level domains like .com, .gov, stuff like that. Now you can do .racecar, buy me, believe this scam, whatever you want. So now you could have PayPal CM or something, PayPal.uf, I don't know. Just something that looks a little more official. It has the PayPal in there. It looks legitimate, and even if the scam runs for, a day or two, it still might, get enough people to attack them. So it's only going to get worse.
Why aren't there scam police out there of some sort? When they get these addresses, why don't they go after them? What are the?
Yeah, why aren't there companies out there that will help people avoid these kinds of things?
Why aren't there? What do you mean? I mean, there are. You have law enforcement, government agencies that already go out and start taking them down. I mean, we at MalwareBytes have worked with Interpol, with the FBI, with the FTC, in trying to take down some of these scams that are within the jurisdiction of the particular countries. I mean, beyond that, there are programs out there that do scan your email for potentially malicious emails and stuff like that. It's just people aren't using them.
Did we hear a lot of it? I mean, I can't remember the last time where I heard something that said, well, The scam site, people were putting on, were busted yesterday by the Interpol, and you don't hear about that as very often. It's kind of kept quiet. Why is that?
Well, I mean, that's all down to just media bias, honestly. A few years ago, Black Shades rat was taken down. Before that, a Black Hole exploit kit was taken down. So you see them every once in a while. They pop up. A lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. A lot of stuff gets kind of, if it's not a super sexy story, then it might not make it on the news. It might not make it anywhere important. We're constantly talking to journalists and things like that about things going on, and half the time they use our stories. Half the time, what we tell them is just a little footnote at the bottom of their stories, and then there's a lot of legal stuff behind it. We've gone after tech support scammers that 2 years ago we provided the information over to the proper law enforcement agencies, and they still are doing litigation. They're still in court cases trying to bust these guys.
So that's it. The legal process is moves so slowly, and they're moving so quickly. By the time they're getting around to catching them, they've already moved on to something else. It's just the only way to.
We're seeing that kind of effort with tech, though. I mean, as soon as one website that is not legit or is illegal in some form, like they can get it taken down pretty quick. But then it seems like it takes them minutes to get a second one back up and running. That just replaces it.
Well, we communicate directly with hosts that may be unwilling or unknowingly hosting malicious content. We get them taken down. We take down these websites. We take down the hosts if we have to, if they don't want to, work with us very well. So we'll go up, one above them. But you're right. I mean, domains are easy to pop up. If the source code for a particular type of malware gets leaked online, suddenly you're going to have about 10 or 15 different versions of it out there within the next few months, tops. I mean, that's slow scale. Right now, as far as the cybercriminal underground goes, it's an assembly line. There's a market for every particular thing. There's people that specialize in saying, all right, we've got domains. I've just bought a ton of domains, and I'll give you one whenever you want. Just pay me. And then you've got a whole group that, I'll create the malware, and I'll be the middleman.
All right, well, listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a little break. Ben and I are talking to Adam Kujawa. He is the head of malware intelligence for MalwareBytes. We're going to continue on with him when we come back. You're listening to the Computer America program. Stay with us. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Okay, I'll try not to blow it. Hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Panasonic Whisper recessed LED fan. Yes, it's like that ventilating fan over your shower. We got it in and noted several interesting attributes. Its light source is a bi-pin LED flood that produces 950 lumens of light on just 13 watts of power. The capacitor Scirocco fan blower is also energy thrifty and capable of an extended service life while also reducing the acoustic footprint of the fan. In other words, the existing ceiling fans in our current just 4-year-old house are 3 to 4 times noisier. So lower noise, lower power consumption, longer intervals before any repair or replacement concerns arise, and great airflow all come together. Bottom line, compared to the Panasonic Whisper recessed LED fan, any other fans we've ever had just suck, and noisily at that. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show, 33 minutes past the hour. And I gotta say, Marty Winston, if you're listening to this, I really do like your reviews. I don't write your reviews, but I would have went, instead of, compared to other ceiling fans, this just sucks, I would have said blue, because, fans say blow air, whatever. But, maybe a little risque, whatever. So, we're here with MalwareBytes, and we have Adam Kajawa here, who is the head of malware intelligence, and it seems like just kind of guy who is perfect for this conversation that we're having about just where is malware going, what is going on with it, and we've been talking a lot about the personal side of it and behind the scenes side of it, but I've noticed here that MalwareBytes, you of course have products for businesses. So let's talk a little bit about what businesses can like. Is everything that we've talked about on the personal side applicable to business, or what should businesses be doing to really protect themselves? Because, like you said, it's like when businesses get compromised, it affects a lot of individuals, and that's not good. So what can they do?
Well, businesses pretty much, everything I talked about so far can apply to a business. If we look at ransomware types, the CryptoLocker type of ransomware and other variants that use the same methods, they went after businesses too, small businesses specifically, and they also knew exactly who they were going after. It wasn't just a lucky type of break. So if you see the ransom that they set for the users, individual users and consumers and stuff like that, it might be $100 or a Bitcoin or something like that. And when they came across small businesses, when they attacked small businesses, you're looking at $5,000, $10,000 in order to unlock their personal documents, stuff like that. In addition, if you actually look at the most effective method that cybercriminals have used from the past and now, and breaking into a network, it's always going through spear phishing attacks. So that's type of phishing that goes specifically after a particular person and is crafted in a way that makes it the most alluring to that person. I used to work for some government agencies in the past, and I'd see stuff that would be aimed toward government employees or military people, saying, here's the pay scale for next year, in this PDF, open it up, take a look. And it turned out to be a malicious PDF. When you opened it, it launched malware. Suddenly it's on the network.
Wow. Not good. Not good at all. Go ahead, Ben.
Do you think there's some kind of detachment that people kind of get? Because I saw this when I was working for a company, that because it's not their personal computer, and yes, they've been given the training, they've made to sit through the 30-minute boring speech by the IT guy. They've received the email saying, hey, don't click on anything, but there's some detachment there that it's it's not my computer. I really don't have to worry about it. Whatever I do really doesn't matter because, hey, it's not my things.
That's very possible, but I mean, they have that same mentality at home, I'm sure. I'm not going to spill anything on it, obviously. Like the physical aspect of it, I'm sure that they're just more careful with their own stuff. But from a security point of view, as far as outside threats and threats on the internet, I don't think they are that concerned about it either way. And you hit the nail on the head there, that the boring hour-long speech from the IT guy or the nagging emails, it's not getting to people. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen. It's just blah blah blah. Yeah, I hear it over and over again. I'll never encounter that. It'll never happen to me. And then it happens. And unfortunately, those people learn too late, the dangers involved. But for everyone else, it's almost out of sight, out of mind. How often do any of us think about what it's going to be like to get hit by a car, or how to, we all right, yeah, I'll cross the street without looking, or I'll look both ways before I cross the street, but how am I going to protect myself? What kind of position am I going to get in if I get hit by a car? What do I do in that kind of situation? People won't really think about that because they're like, I'm never going to be in that situation to begin with. And that's the thing that cyber criminals exploit. They go after users who know that they or feel like they're invincible. They can't be hacked. They can't be fooled.
Let me ask you this. I want to get into MalwareBytes, specifically the products that we're talking about here. When you go to your home page, which again is up at our website at computeramerica.com, or malwarebytes.org is the website, you have a free version which allows malware cleanup, and then you have a premium version. What does the premium version offer that you don't get or what does it include in addition to the malware cleanup?
Well, the premium version has a real-time scanner, in the sense that if you try to launch malware while the premium version is running, it'll prevent it from executing at all. It also has the web protection component, which blocks sites that you might visit that might be malicious, that we have on our blacklist and stuff like that. The scanner, in both cases, the free and the premium, are the same. So that's why we tell people, use our free one. If you don't want to pay us, the amount of a McDonald's meal for your protection, then just just run the scanner every once in a while and check to make sure there's nothing on your system. And honestly, these days, you need that proactive protection. You can't just run a scan every few days to get rid of something. With stuff it's going to lock down your system, it's going to steal your files, it's going to steal your livelihood and your information and your identity. You can't wait until you stumble upon it. I mean, would you like to know if there was someone snooping in your house?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So now I'm looking at the downloads for home, for example, and you have MalwareBytes Anti-Malware, the free version, version 2.2.0, and you have the premium version, which is also 2.2.0, which obviously has gone through several iterations. When I look at MalwareBytes Anti-Malware for the Mac, you're on version 1.0. So is this still?
Right.
Yeah. So do you say you plan to update that, or how current is it? I mean, with
if it's on our website, then it's the latest one that we're totally comfortable releasing to the public. If there are any further versions, just like any sort of software, it's going through QA, it's going through the development cycle. But if the 1.0 is out, then it's ready to go. It's ready to be used.
Okay. All right, and then you have the anti-malware mobile. Which looks like it's for Android version for the Android, and then you have the premium version. What's the difference between the malware anti-exploit premium version?
So anti-exploit, there's the free version, like I said before, protects your browser, protects internet-facing applications. The premium version of that also protects Office, Adobe PDF Reader, things like that. So any sort of PDFs or Office documents that might have exploits written into them that might be malicious, this will scan and detect and prevent them from being able to drop any malware on the system.
Now, what is the again for the free version and the premium version for the MalwareBytes Anti-Malware? How much is the premium version?
It's $25 a year.
$25 a year. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that also ensures you're having the latest. You have the auto updates and scans, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We highly recommend people to employ auto updates. I was at a conference recently, and a lot of people are talking about, hey, what's going on? Something got past you, and I'm like, did you update? When was the last time you updated? Oh, a few weeks ago. We update like 10 times a day. We push out updates for our product at least 10 times a day. We want people to use auto update so that they can get the latest protections. If we have to modify something, if we have to create a new detection method in order to fight against a new type of malware, we push that out as fast as we can, and hopefully people will update and be able to use that protection. But if they don't update, then what's the point?
Right.
That's something that's definitely a holdover from the olden days, where everyone's internet wasn't really that fast. I mean, it's only recently where we've gotten actually decent internet. But I remember, having some kind of, antivirus software, and whenever it would update, it would just bring my entire computer to a crawl. Either the computer was slow or the internet was slow or both, probably both. But, people really don't like updates because they think it would be intrusive to their, experience. But lately, at least personally, that hasn't been happening. Updates really aren't that big a deal.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Okay. So right now it looks like that. Now you also we mentioned a little bit of the for the enterprise. In other words, you also have a consulting. In other words, if you have an enterprise corporation, you offer a free quote. What is that you're actually offering these companies?
Well, we as far as the products, or
well, it says protect your business no matter the size. MalwareBytes business products deliver the layered defense experts recommend to 5 megabytes and enterprises, and then it says get a free quote.
Yeah. No, well, you can talk with one of our salespeople, our support people, and they'll find out what your needs are, how big how many seats you need for your network and things like that. And then, of course, based on the size, then it scales.
Okay.
I believe it scales down. I'm not a salesperson,
no.
So I couldn't tell you exactly that. But from what I've seen other people talk about, yeah, it's basically, you get to a certain amount of seats, the price goes down per seat, and things like that. But that's the whole quote aspect of it. But the enterprise version, endpoint security, MalwareBytes endpoint security is what we call it, comes with MalwareBytes anti-malware premium, and MalwareBytes anti-exploit premium. The management console that we have that allows you to control all the instances of MalwareBytes on all your systems, and some additional malware removal tools.
And you call that endpoint security?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. Now we've covered.
The only thing that we didn't cover so far, I believe, either that or I blocked out for a couple seconds. Do we cover the mobile?
The mobile's free.
Mobile's free.
Download it. Keep it on your Android. Have fun with it.
Do people need to protect their phones? Because I'll be honest with you. I've yet to meet a person that says, "Oh, check this out! I just got some new, anti-malware, anti-virus program for my phone. Check it out." Like, do people really need that?
Yes.
They do.
Absolutely. We've seen every attack that we've seen on the PC. We've seen mirrored on the mobile side. It might not be as frequent, but it's going to be more and more. Trust me, it's going to be there more and more. We've seen malvertising on phones. We've seen ransomware on phones. We've seen phishing attacks through SMSs. We've seen, just installing third-party apps that turn out to be malicious, not using the particular markets that are being recommended, like Google Play or whatever. I don't use an iPhone, so I don't know what they use, the App Store. But yeah, that's that. We highly recommend people use. I mean, obviously ours, but any antivirus, any anti-malware, any sort of protection software for the phone. It's just in the background, just in case. Because I can tell you for sure, though, that it's ramping up. We've seen it grow, increase over the years. Mobile malware, mobile attacks. Like I said, the bad guys go where the people are, and a lot of people are abandoning their desktops and using just mobile devices.
Right now, you're saying it's still pretty much proof of concept for mobile devices, or is it?
No, we've seen it in the wild.
Yeah, I've seen it in the wild. Okay. So let me just finish up. I know I keep coming back to Mac because hey, I have a Mac, and so and again, you're still on the 1.0. When do you think you're going to have the next version for the Mac? Because
I couldn't tell you exactly when. But it's the application itself is it protects Macs against adware, mostly potentially unwanted software, since that is what Macs usually encounter these days. Of course, any sort of malware that might come along, it protects against that as well. But like I said, most of what Mac users deal with, are adware, spyware, software that just runs in the background, isn't necessarily malicious, but nonetheless collecting and hurting your user experience and stuff like that.
So I guess my question is, if you're still on the 1.0 version, if something newer has come out since you released 1.0, it's still going to catch it?
It should, yeah.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, Greg, go try it. Just go find something.
Yeah.
I'm using it.
I do apologize. I don't have more information on our Mac product. I mean, I don't really use a Mac too often myself. But most of the threats that I've had to face and deal with are usually on the PC side. We actually have a couple researchers obviously dedicated to the Mac side. He answers all of our Mac threat questions and stuff like that. His name's Thomas Reed. You might recognize him if you ever read the Safe Mac, which was a blog.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, cool. Well, Adam, I want to thank you for being here with us on the show again and again. I use MalwareBytes on my computer, and certainly I recommend that you do too. There's the free version. Why not? And then I would say for $25 a year, certainly the pro version is certainly
Not going to break the bank.
Yeah, it's not going to break the bank.
Right.
Adam, thank you so much for being with us here, and again, we'll have you back as things continue on with MalwareBytes. Have you back again, okay?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Greg. Thanks a lot, Ben. It was great seeing you guys again.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, there you go. MalwareBytes. Again, go to computeramerica.com, and you can click on the MalwareBytes logo, and you can check it out for yourself. But it's all available there at MalwareBytes.com.
Very knowledgeable. Since he is obviously working in the field, he knows, all the latest stuff, and it really it shows.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. All right. Well, we've got a couple more minutes here. I want a couple more computer news stories that we can finish up with, and
Sure.
I wanted to do the story from Maximum PC from Kevin Parrish. Valve.
No. Come on. We have time for 2 stories. You're going to go with that one?
All right. You tell me. You take the first one. Go ahead. You do it.
All right. The first one we're going to do is there really are no good ones. I'm kidding. Xiaomi. We just talked about them and their new $800 60-inch 4K smart TV.
Yeah.
They're bringing something else to market.
Segue.
Way to ruin the suspense, Greg.
I said it's a good segue. I said it's a good segue from the one story.
Okay, well, anywho, for anyone out there watching our video portion, I'll throw this up here to see a picture of it. This is indeed Xiaomi brings Segway to the masses with a $315 9-bot Mini.
So it really was a segue to a segue. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
It's as if you had inside information.
Yeah, it is.
So, yes, go look at the picture. Very obvious concept, drawing, that kind of thing. But they have a video. I'm going to put the video up here to play. And it's, it's not a full-blown Segway. I don't want to trick anyone into thinking that, hey, you can get a full-blown Segway for $315. But it's a mini Segway. You'll be able to stand on it. It runs on a battery. And you'll be able to purchase it for a mere $315. So, of course, the performance is nothing to sneeze at. This is coming from the article. It can move at up to 10 miles per hour and climb up to 15-degree hills and run up to 22 kilometers, which I think in miles is somewhere around 10 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it can run up to 10 miles on a single charge. It's portable at just 30 pounds and fits easily in the trunk of your car. So you can also upgrade the firmware and monitor your speed, traffic data, and systems via a smartphone. So, sure, Xiaomi's market the 9-bot Mini as a cool youth toy, and according to the rough translation, but it looks like it could get you around nicely as well. So you'll have to pair your checkbook away for now, though. The self-balancing device is coming to China on November 3rd, just like the TV, but there's no word on Xiaomi's plan for a wider launch. So that said, 9bot has updated its French website with an offer to be informed of the availability in the coming months. So that means it will likely be sold in Europe, so it may come to the US after all eventually.
Very cool.
Very, very small, very, very tiny, 315, and just looking at the video, it's I can see why they're marketing it as a toy. It's no offense to you old people, Craig, but like a Segway, I've seen my professors riding from classroom to classroom on it. It's Segways are very easy to use, and once you really get the hang of it, it's just kind of like standing there and directing it, kinda.
Yeah.
This one, there's no handlebars to grip, there's nothing to rest on. It's all, essentially, it's going to be kind of a balancing act. You're going to have a good sense of balance, and if you don't, this isn't like a Segway in that it will never fall over. I guarantee that some people are going to fall off this thing.
Well, it looks like they have little handlebars right where your knees are or something.
Handlebars where your knees are.
Yeah, it looks like that's.
You just said handlebars.
Knee bars.
Where your knees are.
Yeah, it's very low.
That's going to be a weird riding position.
I saw someone on a Segway just not too long ago. It was very cool looking, but they get a lot more mileage with those.
Yeah, the big Segways, they have, they're much bigger, much more robust, but of course it costs a couple $1,000s. So this one at $315, hey, if it works as advertised, unfortunately not coming to America anytime soon, but seems like a natural progression from the skateboard.
Yeah, I was at in a hospital. I saw some of the technicians using Segways in the hospital, going from floor to floor. I guess they didn't want to walk.
Well, I mean, if you're running around, for 12 hours a day and you're on your feet constantly, a Segway is a lifesaver.
I would think it is. I don't know if we have time to do one more quick story here.
Yeah, sure you did.
Okay, this is from Tech Hive. This is Sony has come out with a 5,000 lumen home video projector. 5,000 lumen.
Yes, we've been talking so much about affordable pieces of technology.
Yeah. This is 4K though. This is a 4K home video projector. Unfortunately, this thing is going to cost $60,000. So again, not necessarily for $60,000. Yeah, exactly. Basically, this particular model that they're talking about here uses the new SXRD laser light engine. It delivers 4K resolution with up to 5,000 lumens. It provides a wider color gamut. Okay, and the video projectors, as you know, can get hot, so they're typically equipped with fans to keep them cool. But fan noise can be distracting while the projector is mounted close to the viewer. So Sony developed a liquid cooling system for this projector that enables the projector to operate very quietly, 35 dB in normal mode and down to 32 dB in low bright mode. If $60,000 is out of your price range, Sony also announced 3 new other home theater projectors, 3 of which deliver 4K resolution. Okay. And one of them is $15,000, and the other one is $10,000. They even have one for $4,000, which drops down to a 1080p resolution, though. So the 2 4K models are equipped with Sony's Triluminous image processing engine, and both support Sony's motion flow picture technology, which gives you clearer images and displays fast-moving content. And by the way, if you've invested in 3D glasses, you'll be happy to hear that all 3 of these models feature built-in RF 3D transmitters. So basically, you use your 3D glasses with it as well. So not the cheapest of technologies, but Sony does make these 3 different projectors, 2 of them which are 4K. I don't know.
Bad.
Not bad. Not bad.
Really, 4K... in a lot of different applications, I think it's a new buzzword, and people seem to be getting hyped over it. And to be honest with you, it really doesn't make sense. No. 4K resolution is something that not everyone needs, and it's not something a lot of people are even going to know how to properly use. But I think when it comes to a projector, where it really, where screen size really doesn't matter, you can change, you can change the screen size on the fly. They're projectors. They throw their screen, or they throw their image onto the wall. So when it comes to that, I think 4K actually makes sense there, because hey, you can change it to whatever you want, and having the upper limits be 4K, that actually makes sense to me.
Okay. Now, I think we're pretty much out of time. I want to thank both of our guests for being with us here.
Both?
Sorry.
You had someone else on the show while I was on the show, and you
were away, we had somebody else. Yes, we snuck them in. Yeah, Adam Kajawa from MalwareBytes on the program. Now tomorrow, we've had a slight change. Evidently, Activision will not be here. Sorry. I know. But in the first hour, we're going to have iPro is going to be here. And they're here going to be talking about fantasy sports, fantasy football, that type of thing. And what Ring It Pro is doing. And basically, it shows it makes picks since it's very, very fast because football games move very fast. And evidently, they're going to this technology now that allows you to play fantasy football and everything, and with a lot more accuracy and with better results, and who knows, better chances of winning. And they're going to be on in the first hour of the show. And then in the second hour, we're going to have Handscape on the program. Now, Handscape, how do I describe this? They make something called the Handy Case for your tablet or for your smartphone. And it has the technology to let you see what's behind the case. So if you were, let's say, holding the case with your left hand and right hand with your tablet, you would literally see your fingers that are on the back side of the tablet being displayed.
Is it that kind of display?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm not sure if it's that kind or if it's kind of like a, selfie kind of deal, but like, I don't know. We'll definitely see what they are because I don't think it's going to show you your fingers, but it's going to be really, really, really cool.
Very cool. Okay. And we're going to have them in the second hour of the show. So again, iPro in the first hour and Handscape with their hand case.
60 seconds.
Anyway, thank you all so much for being with us here. Again, thanks to Adam Kajawa from MalwareBytes. And hopefully all of you had a good time. And Ben and I are going to see you here tomorrow afternoon on our noon time slot. I can still say no. 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. That's it. We're no longer late night. We are now daytime programming and have been now for over a month. And hopefully you're enjoying that. I know Ben and I do. And Ben and I will see you here, same time, same channel. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, everyone.
10 seconds.
$60,000 for a projector. Wow.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching our live video, and Ben and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.